So we've talked about putting our liner on properly, and as you can see here, we have pretty good pin alignment. It's pretty straight in the long axis of his limb. But I'm going to talk a little bit about something that really becomes frustrating for a lot of amputees, particularly when they're trying to don their prosthesis that utilizes a shuttle system. Now, in my experience, there's only really two reasons why an amputee would have difficulty putting their prosthesis on with this system. The first is their limb has changed overnight. They go to sleep, they wake up the next morning, they're edematous or their leg's swollen, that maybe they had some salty food or who knows what, and it's too swollen to go in the prosthesis. That would be one reason. The second reason would be that the pin is not properly lining up with the hole. Even though they've done everything right, as far as they could tell, pin's nice and straight, everything has been donned properly, but I'm going to show you a little bit of some of the pitfalls that a lot of amputees fall into when they're trying to don their prosthesis. So we're going to try this. Most amputees, when they first put the prosthesis on, try to put it on in the seated position, okay? But what you'll notice when they do that is this pin, you can just keep lifting up, is hitting between the lock and the socket, okay? Even though he had his pin pretty straight like he was supposed to, because of the angle of the prosthesis on the floor and the angle of his leg trying to go into the prosthesis, we have a little problem here. And even though the lock is concave, the pin has to be at least close, okay? So what do we do about that? What we're going to do, just to illustrate, now keep in mind this prosthesis is not tight. We don't have the appropriate amount of socks on, but we're using this for illustration. So I'm going to have the patient stand up. All right, now keep some pressure on it. Now see what happens when he tries to put weight on that? That pin just bends. Lift up a little bit. All right, you see how it's kind of jammed in there and it's getting twisted? Now what I want him to do, go ahead and lift your leg up a pretty good bit. See how the pin straightened itself when we took pressure off? Now go ahead and slowly put your weight down. Now we have good pin alignment. The pin goes in the hole, not a problem. But if you can see, this position of standing up with his leg fully extended, now if the prosthesis is flat on the floor, all those mechanisms line up properly. But it is something that oftentimes you can't see as an amputee by looking through the socket because it's not clear like this in every case. All right? A definitive prosthesis oftentimes it's made out of a composite that you can't see through. But this is what's going on inside or can go on inside. Go ahead and have a seat. One trick that you can use if you are having trouble with this and you just can't tell if the pin is too far ahead, too far behind, to one side or the other, is just take an old piece of a tube of lipstick, something bright, something old that you have laying around, and just make a little wipe on the end of the pin. All right, just wipe a little bit on there, then try it again, and when you're done, take the prosthesis off if you can't get it to don on its own, and look inside the prosthesis, and you can see inside where the lipstick translates, and that'll let you know if your pin is too far forward, too far back, one side or the other. So that is a big frustration for a lot of amputees. Now I'm going to demonstrate something else. Now you see that we have the pin in good alignment. We've seen what can happen when you put the prosthesis on in a seated position, but another thing that can happen is we have the pin in not so great an alignment, okay? So we have the pin pretty obviously pointed up too far, okay? So let's try that, but instead of putting it on just sitting down, we're going to go ahead and stand up and try to put the prosthesis on. Can you get it?
I think so. Well, I don't know.
All right, got it?
Yeah.
All right, so watch closely when he puts his leg in. Okay, there we go. Just go slow so you don't hurt yourself. Same thing. Okay, we've got the same problem where the pin is too far forward, but if for a different reason. Because now all our mechanisms should have been straight, but because we put the liner on with the pin too far forward, we have the same problem where the pin's not lining up with the hole. The way to resolve this issue, go ahead and have a seat, is to take this liner off and correct that pin angle. So the way we do that, we roll the liner off. We always roll it off and roll it on. We know the pin is too far forward, So we're just gonna move this whole bit down a little bit, okay? Then we roll it back on and we see how we did. I have had amputees tell me that it's helpful if they have a wall mount mirror, like a full-length mirror mounted to the wall that they can sit next to and look and kind of get that perspective from the side. Most amputees can see from their vantage point if it's straight left and right, but it's a little trickier up and down. But again, like I said earlier, practice these things. Try to figure out what is the best procedure and your protocols for donning your prosthesis, and once you get it, you'll be able to repeat that and you won't have any troubles.